Well, hello, it's Ronin again. We're here to talk about the midterm elections, the 34-time felon who is literally sticking his middle fingers up at the Supreme Court, yet there are people in this country thinking that the midterms are actually going to happen. I'm baffled by the fact that there are so many people that are willing to stick their head in the sand and just pretend like everything is status quo. The Constitution, the Supreme Court, all of it wasn't just a matter of laws, but it was also a respect for all the laws and the whole system, the way that it works. And Trump is clearly showing when you've put someone that has zero respect for law, order, the Constitution, the Supreme Court, or the people of this country, they can get away with pretty much anything because the Supreme Court came down on them hard and said that the tariffs were unconstitutional, which means that he's violating the Constitution yet again. And yet somehow, instead of taking that and being humble and saying, okay, I need to find a better way to do this, what did he do? He decided to double down, do a temper tantrum, and pout and say, well, if nobody wants to do what I want, I'm going to charge 10% more. And he's added more tariffs to the tariffs that he's already imposed. And how is that helping the American people? Because while he's trying to hit all of these tariffs, which is adding billions and billions of dollars to our issue, we are also watching him adding trillions of dollars to our deficit within 1 year. $2 trillion was added to our national deficit in 1 year. And you're going to sit here and tell me in any way, shape, or form that he's good for the country? And he had 34 felonies. He had 6 bankruptcies. He's bankrupted 3 casinos. He's violated laws with the FCC. He has violated laws when it comes to the way that you handle universities, charities, and pageants. He's barred from being able to ever be a part of any of those 3 things as well as it. So he's well established that he has zero respect, proof, or even integrity when it comes to the law. And you're telling me that he somehow is going to go okay or accept the midterm elections? I'm telling you right now, he's going to he's going to see the midterm elections actually unfold. They're going to move along and are going to do their thing on a state level. But then when it gets to the point of acceptance and trying to validate or swear in these people, that's when you're going to see the fix. Give me a second. I got to pause this really quick. Excuse me. We are looking at a major situation. We are watching a president of the United States that's supposed to be of the people, for the people, and of the people completely decimate our Constitution, our laws of the lands, because he's just blankly ignoring it all. He's ignored the 9-0 ruling that said that the Supreme Court said that all people on U.S. soil have due process. He's violated that. He's got contempt charges against him on multiple courts with Kristi Noem and the rest of them, and they've ignored all of that. So the Supreme Court coming down and saying, hey, you've got to stop these tariffs are unconstitutional. What's the mechanism to force them to comply? What system do we have that would actually stop these people from doing what they're doing? Nothing. So the Supreme Court's rule only is valid if the President of the United States and the Congress actually respect and follow their order, their ruling. It's a honor system as much as it is as a justice system. And yet he's not willing to do that. And we know that because of the fact of just what he's done in this last year alone. And on top of that, he's also taken the time to push forward an agenda where he's basically taken undocumented immigrants, locked them in cages. He's got billions of dollars to lock undocumented immigrants in cages, but yet somehow, some way, he doesn't have money to give children school lunches free every day. You've got children that are going to school afraid that the Second Amendment is going to take them out. He can't possibly do anything to protect those children, that the same Congress people tried to reverse Roe versus Wade and said, you know what, we have to protect the children. It protect the lives of the children that are unborn, that we need to make sure that they're brought into this world. But yet when they're in here and they're out about, there's no protection at all. There's no welfare. There's no child support. There's no SNAP benefits. All of this has been taken and come all down and taken away from the American people. But yet we've got billions of dollars to spend to Argentina. We've got billions of dollars to send to Israel. We've got billions of dollars to spend in anything other than the people that actually generated the tax dollars in the first place. The $4 trillion that are collected in taxes every year should be used on America first and everybody second, but it's not. And he has enriched himself twofold with everything that's happened. He walked into the office with 1.3. He's now at $3.4 billion with a B. Okay. And you think that he's, for the American people, he's the first president that he's enriched himself to this blatant, this level, that it's so obvious that nobody even wants to look at it. They're all acting like Pakistan cab drivers that just cut people off. And you look, people are irate and scream at them. And they're like, I don't see you. That's what he's doing. He's doing whatever he wants and he doesn't care. And what's going to happen, this is a prediction. And you can bolt on this if you want, but hold on for a second. You can bolt on this or not. But the truth is that when these midterm elections happen, he's going to turn around and he is going to see it all happen. And when he sees it go against him and that the House and the Senate are going to flip, he's going to do something to invalidate or completely bog down the whole system. He will wind up suing every state and driving this into court battles to prove the validity of the votes that change the House and the Senate. And by doing that, he'll prolong his stay in office. And at that point, he could probably have the Supreme Court rule in his favor. The Supreme Court ruled against him now, which shows a sign that the Supreme Court is kind of like, standing up to him. Maybe it's just a bait and switch. It's an allowance to let you think that he's going to actually, be held accountable by the Supreme Court because they're ruling on this, because they know in November, they're going to have to sit there and rule in his favor there. So they're letting the people, the Democrats, you and me, have small wins now, so that way they can give you a big loss later on. Their end game is to take the midterms away. And there's nothing on this planet that tells me anything different, because here's the deal. If he lets the midterms happen, if those midterms happen, what happens to the country? First off, we have 6 months of impeachment hearings, but ultimately, what does the impeachment process, the midterms allowing the House and the Senate to flip to a Republican or to Democrat control, what's the end result? He will wind up being impeached. And when he's impeached, he'll lose his presidential immunity. When he loses his presidential immunity, he can then be held accountable for all the stuff that Jack Smith had brought forward to the House Oversight Committee in the public hearing. Do you realize that there was 2 volumes of reports that Jack Smith tried to make public, and a judge blocked the second volume because of how damaging it was to Donald Trump? But yet you think that all of the smoke that could come after him once he's out of office, he's going to face that honorably? What has he done so far that's ever shown you that he's honorable, has the integrity to stand up and be accounted for everything he's done? Because he's denied everything that he's done, and he's tried to hide everything that he's done twofold over. So why would you think that he would actually allow the midterms to stand? He would face his accusers and be held accountable for the actions that he may or may not have done, because again, he has not been found guilty of anything other than the 34 felonies. So to think that he possibly is going to stand up and allow democracy to rule when it hasn't been that way for the first year that he's been in office, you think that he's going to allow it for the last 2? Come on, let's just it's ridiculous to think this. It's a hardship to reality to sit there and think that this guy is going to allow people to actually stand up and be heard. He doesn't want democracy. He wants people's silence. It's comply and die. It's we're going to have an assault on the First Amendment. He won't touch the Second Amendment, but he's all about beating up the First Amendment because he doesn't want people speaking up against him. He doesn't want people speaking up against what he's doing. Anybody that criticizes him, he thinks is a threat. You're a domestic terrorist, not because you actually picked up an arm and did something to him, but because you spoke up against him, to him. And that makes you a domestic terrorist? That's bullshit. That's not life. That's not reality. Thank you guys for the live. I appreciate everybody. I hope that you guys come check out some more of my stuff. And I hope you have a great day. Bye.